Here come the big rig kids, y'all. Are you ready? Let's go. Here come the big rig kids. Roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids.
Welcome everybody to Conversations with Grandma Polly. As you know, every week we have a special guest coming on the show, and this week there's no exception. We have someone who's so wonderful and amazing. But before we get into that, let me introduce the host of the show, Miss Grandma Polly. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Grandma Polly. Yay, yeah.
Hello, good evening, and welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you guys here with us this afternoon. And this week, we're actually talking about mental health. Mental health, this is Mental Health Week. And as we know, many of us battle with mental health in so many different ways. There are so many different kinds of mental health out there. But the important thing is the health treatment. We have to seek help we have to get rid of the stigmatization and seek the help that we need. And I want to tell you guys about my third book. This is what we were doing each week. Each of my book is based on something that's going on in our community. And my third book, by the way, is Daddy's Home, the Big Rig Kids' Daddy's Home. And this one we talk about Josh. He surprises everyone when he returns home from the war in Afghanistan. His children, Caden and Sasha, are happy to have their father home, but they struggle with the dysfunction that comes with the post-war trauma their father is experiencing. Caden tries to be the peacemaker. However, Sasha acts out in ways that are not helpful. Meanwhile, Grandma Polly is about to lose her mind, worrying over the family and the disturbing situations they face. Even Sapphire struggles to find a solution. Let's see how they cope prices when they learn Josh is suffering from PTSD. Yes, PTSD is a form of mental illness, and many of us associate it with people who've been in the military. But one thing, the other part to it is you don't have to be a soldier to deal with PTSD. A lot of these children are dealing with PTSD in their communities because of the violence and stuff that they're dealing with in their community. So this book deals with the effects of PTSD and mental illnesses in the family, because if you have a family member who's dealing with some type of mental illness, it's not just that family member who's dealing with it, it affects the whole family. And with further ado, we're going to introduce Barjon Amos. Y'all, let's welcome Barjon Amos. And B has started Cupcakes and Conversation, which is an organization that helps people. It gives them a way to have an outlet to sit down and meet together and have these conversations about some of the things that they're going through. And sometimes they even come up with solutions. So I'm going to be quiet now, and we're going to let Barjon tell us a little bit about herself, and you can tell us some of your story.
Okay. Well, thank you again. My name is Barton, and I want to thank you for inviting me to your show. I think this is a wonderful platform, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So what a great time to talk about mental health and mental illness. I'm the founder of Solid She Incorporated. It's a mental health nonprofit organization dedicated to mental wellness for teenage girls, women, and their family members. And one of my first initiatives was Cupcakes and Conversations, as Grandma Polly had mentioned. And Cupcakes and Conversation was something I created to provide a platform for women and for teenage girls to come together in a judgment free zone and talk openly about mental illness, especially in our community, the African American community. A lot of us are suffering with some type of mental illness, whether it is PTSD, depression, bipolar, anxiety, and a number of other mental illnesses. And I think it's just a great way to have the conversation. And so I'm definitely grateful for this opportunity to tell my story and to share with you why I believe Mental Health Awareness Month is important, especially in our community, because we don't really talk about mental illness. We don't have it in our families, right?
Right? Definitely.
But the truth of the
that is
matter
very
is,
true.
yes, the truth of the matter is it does exist. It has existed in our families for a long time. We just called it something else.
Yes. We have.
Yeah, and yes. And my journey began way back about when I was 13, so a little less than 30 years. But I was 13 years old, trying to figure my way, through school. I believe I was in junior high at the time, about to go to high school. And I just felt really off. And by off, I mean, I just felt like I didn't fit in. I felt really sad. I was crying for no reason and just couldn't figure out what was going on with me, why I was not happy anymore. I was a happy child coming up, very popular in school. I was involved in sports, and it seemed like all of a sudden I started losing interest in things that I was normally interested in. And I just didn't like who I became or who I was about to become. I literally almost hated myself because I couldn't figure out why I was so sad or why I didn't fit in or why I felt like I wasn't the same person anymore. And it's
Wow.
hard to maneuver when you're that age in our families because we don't talk about it. And when I addressed it, to my parents or, counselors at the school, they didn't have an answer for me because they felt like I was 13. I shouldn't be dealing with what I was dealing with. But
Wow.
on the inside, I was going through it.
And
Yeah.
you're right. You're so right, B. I think I started with mine around the age of 12 or 13, and mine came through trauma.
Hmm.
But at that time, I never told anyone what had happened. And then they started putting labels on you as you're no manners, you're rude, you're fast, you're this, you're that, instead of people stopping to say, okay, this child has changed. What is going on with this child? They start
Right.
slapping labels on you. And even up until this day, I am 55 years old now, and I battle depression every day. It's a job just to get up out of the bed most days. But I won't allow myself to be stuck there. I push myself forward. And one thing I did do when I realized, once I became an adult, and I realized that I needed help, I seek counseling on my own. So, how important you think counseling is when it comes down to mental health?
Yeah. Definitely.
I think counseling is very important. I think a lot of people could use, um, I know for myself, it was important. Like I said, it wasn't something that I could easily talk about within my household. Um, no one understood it. Like you said, people were giving me labels as a wild child or disrespectful or rebellious, but they didn't understand that there was something chemically going on in my brain that was causing me to have these emotions. And as a 13-year-old child, I couldn't process that on my own. So it was very important for me to have a therapist, to develop a treatment plan, because therapy is not just about talking or venting. It is about having um, or developing that relationship with your therapist and developing a treatment plan that's going to be right for that individual. So I think it's very important to
Right.
have, some type of counseling or therapy.
Right. And in a lot of cases, sometimes your therapist is the only person who understands you. So
Right.
I feel like
Right.
it gives you that outlet also.
Absolutely.
It gives you that outlet. But why is it that I'm still trying to figure this part out? Why is it that in our community, we are so afraid to address the real issues that's going on? You know, you mentioned it earlier. It doesn't happen in my house. It doesn't happen in my family. It
Right.
doesn't happen in our communities. I think sometimes we as a people think that we could just pray everything away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's
So
it right there.
what
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Barjan. You're fine.
Okay, I was just going to say what you mentioned about in our culture, we believe that we could pray everything away. And we were brought up to be strong individuals. We got slavery, we got through hard times. So, why is it that you can't overcome this mental demon or whatever you want to label it? Why can't we overcome that? And people don't understand that it's a chemical imbalance. It's nothing that we did wrong to receive this type of disorder label. We didn't do anything. It was just something that is either hereditary or something you develop from trauma that you have experienced in life.
Definitely.
and you're right. I get confused at times when I hear people say, well, oh, my chest is hurting. I need to go to the emergency room. I think I'm having a heart attack. Or if they have pain somewhere else, oh, I need to go and see a doctor because this is wrong. And I think we live in a society where people don't really realize the brain is a part of the body and it gets sick also.
Right.
And in that aspect, I think we hide. Well, I'm not. I'm old about it, but a lot of people hide from it because of the stigmatization that comes along with it. Oh, I can remember a conversation you and I had at one of your workshops, and I'm going to bring it up because I want you to elaborate on that.
Okay.
Where it comes down with the stigmatization, and it's like me and my brother. I'm going to give an example. Me and my brother here, and we're joking around, and we're teasing, and we go, "Oh, go on about your business with your bipolar self." It's not something to joke about because it's a real. And him, he may not be, but to say that to him in a jokingly way, to me, it puts a stigmatization on the people who are really going through it.
Right. That is true.
So could you
Um,
elaborate on that a little more? Because we had that conversation.
yeah. So a lot of people, especially in our community, are undereducated about what mental illness is, what it looks like, and who it not discriminate people experience some type of mental illness in their life. And what you said, like when people take it lightly and they may say things like the weather is bipolar or she's bipolar and they don't really know what bipolar means, that is it's hurtful to people who are experiencing it because you have no idea what bipolar really entails. Bipolar is more than a mood swing. It's more than a up and a down. There's a lot more that goes into it. And if we just take the time to educate ourselves on what it is and what it looks like and who it affects, then we can better have the conversation.
Right.
That
But
sounds
like I
that sounds just about right. And this, I keep going back to that stigmatization. The stigmatization that comes along with this is what we need to get rid of.
Yeah,
right,
definitely. And to face whatever it is that is causing that chemical imbalance. You know, we know trauma is one of the things. I'm sure there are a number of other things as well that can cause that type of imbalance. But what what do you think? Does talking bring about, or is talking a way to start a resolution? You think talking about it?
I think talking is healing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think a lot of people experience isolation or thoughts of suicide when they feel like they don't have an outlet to express who they really are. Because mental illness, it takes up so much of your life. If we don't have the space to speak openly about what we're dealing with, then we feel like we're dying internally. You know what I'm saying? Because there's
Yeah.
no space for us to breathe or to live our true selves, our authentic selves.
Right. Right.
I agree. Anybody who knows me know I talk a lot. And I do. I tell my husband all the time, and I make them aware of it. You know, it's like as long as I'm talking, I'm fine.
Right.
If I ever stop talking, you know I'm in trouble. And that's on a real note. At the age of 27, I was suicidal.
Mhm.
But in instance, and we're talking about B's talking about bipolar, but for me, I was clinically depressed.
Right.
Woke up, did not know what was going on for 6 straight months. All I wanted to do was be in a dark
Wow.
room, and all I would do was cry and could not tell nobody why.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
You know, and those are things that family members today will look at me and say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Well, you don't know because there was no outlet for me to come to you. You know, you tell them I'm depressed. Oh, what you depressed for? You have no reason to be depressed. Well, it's not just a thought, it's a chemical imbalance.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, I just want to take a quick time out to welcome some of the guests that join us on Facebook
Uh-huh.
Live. Welcome, guys. Michelle, Reese. Thank you for tuning in, and there are others, but we got to get back to this because this is a serious subject that we're dealing with today. And in our community, we don't discuss it, we don't talk about it because, like you said, there is a stigma attached to it. But education is a key to release people from that stigma and that key. So, seeing a therapist, doing things. What else are some of the things that can be done to eradicate that and get the chemical balance back in people? Do you think, both of you?
You want
My
to answer that,
journey,
big?
my journey, journey through, there are a number of things that I have to do in order to maintain a good mental health state of mind, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
I have to, just like, some people may have to take medication. There are a number of natural things you can do along with the medication, or you can do it separately. And that's like hiking. Nature is very healing. Going to sit by the water is very healing for me. Um, Writing in a journal, just speaking your thoughts can kind of bring you back to reality, because a lot of times when we are experiencing a mental health episode, we're stuck in our heads and it feels very dark and you feel very alone. But once you start, writing, or you start speaking your thoughts, it kind of brings you back to the here and the now, and it helps you to overcome that episode that you may be experiencing. So for me, hiking, going by the water, meditation, Reiki,
Oh,
writing, there's a number of things that I have to do. And if I don't do those things, then I will find myself in an episode.
got you, got you. Yeah, the generation we grew up in, it was like no says the mouth, but yes says the heart. We couldn't really say or voice what we wanted to say, you know. And for me, I know writing has been an outlet for me since I was a kid. I mean, I got to write down all my feelings. Anytime I felt something, I would write down something. And the hiking stuff, living by these mountains, I love it. What do you think? Diet has something to play into it? The certain type of foods you eat?
It does,
I believe that.
definitely, definitely.
Okay. I've read. I've read somewhere that um, that it's like when we're eating certain things. Just hypothetically, let's just say meat for right now, because meat is acid in the body. I know. I don't plan on giving it up no time soon, but I do. But I'm becoming more and more conscious and aware of what it's doing, so I'm eating less and less of it. I know that. Do you think that I've read somewhere to get back to that point where when you take on these ferocious animals or just say animalistic mentalities that's kind of like in the DNA really, and that we're putting it in our body as well, you think that might play into something like that as well, or is it that as far as the chemical imbalance is what I'm talking about, and the acidity from certain things that we eat?
I believe so. I'm not, I don't want to sound ignorant. I'm not really knowledgeable how the diet affects mental health.
Okay.
It causes mental illness, but I can say that it contributes
To it. Got you.
to it. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Renee, you got anything you want to say, sis?
I was thinking about the food compared to what we eat now compared to what we ate when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Um, most of the stuff that I grew up on was grown on the farm, even down to the meat where you talk about the pigs, the chicken, the cows, and all of that stuff. But the way they process foods today, I think um, I wouldn't say definitely, but it may, have a lot of effects on us when it comes down to the chemicals because of the chemicals that they're using to grow these foods, all the hormones and stuff that they add to the food. If you think about it, when we were growing up, yeah, we went through things, but I've never heard of so many children. We had what they call a little special ed class. You may have 5 or 6 kids in there. But then now you have kids being diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, all these different terms that they label these kids with, and then they medicate these kids. And a lot of times the medication that they're taking have side
Effects
effects
to it. Yeah.
that makes
Mhm.
the mental capacity even worse than it was when they were first diagnosed. So
Got
yeah,
you.
there's a possibility.
Got you. We have a viewer that has a question. I'm
Hmm.
going to put it in the broadcast so you guys can read it. And any one of you can jump in anytime, all right? It says, what if the person doesn't do anything? No exercise and no therapy, no medication, no hiking, no writing, no eating healthy. How can you address this to them if they're not doing anything to help their well-being?
Hmm.
Thank you, Michelle.
My
Great.
my thought on it, and it's gonna be quick and short. A person have to realize within themselves that there is something going on. I don't believe that you could help someone if they don't believe that there is an issue.
Oh, Right.
And a lot of people are in denial about mental illness because of the stigmatization. And that's my thought. And we're going to let B jump in there.
I would have to agree. I think that we all have responsibility for our healing journeys. And although mental illness makes it that much harder because you're dealing with something in your mind, something that's keeping you from going outside, enjoy nature, you, as a support person, I would encourage that then, maybe take them by the hand. Let's go for a walk today. We getting out this house. You
Gotcha.
may be able to do that just to introduce them to other modalities to help them heal. But at some point, when you know that you are suffering in silence or you're suffering with something that is causing you to feel a certain type of way, you have to take that
Gotcha.
and yeah, and start your healing journey,
All
you
right.
know. And that can start small. You can start small, whether it's medication to get yourself stable or a walk, whatever it is, getting up, taking a hot shower, hot bath. There's simple things to kind of build yourself up to the point where you're okay again.
Okay. I
Mhm.
I want to uh talk about this show that I watch. I've been watching for a number of, what, 2 or 3 seasons now. It's called A Million Little Things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Mhm.
And it
No.
started off the whole premise. This guy had a beautiful family. He had it all, but at work he jumped out of a window and killed himself. He committed suicide. And another one of the guys, a black guy, um, he was getting ready to take some pills and overdose when he got the phone call that his friend had committed suicide. So every week there's so many. It's such a beautiful story. It's ongoing how they overcome the challenges that they face and dealing with it, and they really show what mental illness is. It's called A Million Little Things, and it comes on every Wednesday night. And
Mhm.
they're now dealing with what's going on in the world with George Floyd. This just came up in the episode, and how everybody's their little clique, their little family, they're all friends, but they all how they come together over everything. It doesn't even matter. It's one of my favorite shows that I watch. But
Mhm.
the,
And it's funny that you brought that up because when myself and Bajan speak about our situation, just within this last year, you think about with COVID, you think about everybody watching George Floyd died, on national TV. This has done some mental stuff to some people who have never realized that they had different levels of anxieties.
agreed.
And sometimes those things, whether it be the news or use this gas situation for a perfect example.
Yeah.
There's people running around who their anxiety level is so high right now. We laugh at those pictures or those videos that we see where these people are filling these
Garbage bags with gas.
garbage bags and gas cans and stuff with gasoline. They may not realize that there is some mental stuff going on there, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
They're
is
stuck in
that
that
is
anxiety, in that mode of anxiety.
yeah. And that wow, never even really thought about it like that, Renee. Thanks for the enlightenment. And you too, Barjan. I'm taking it all in. Some beautiful stuff going on.
And there are certain things that triggers. There are certain things that right now in my life, and it hadn't just started, but there are certain things in my life that if I see it finna happen or it starts to happen, there are certain things that trigger those my anxiety level. And yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. There is this one thing. My husband, it really bothers me, and he does not understand it. We could be sitting in here looking at TV or just doing whatever, and he'll sit there and he'll stare at me. He won't say anything. He'll just stare. And when I realize he's doing this, I mean, it's a real quick snap. Stop staring at me.
Wow.
Don't do that. And then he'll go, like, what's wrong with you? I said, when you do that, it reminds me of the dirty old men when I was younger who would just stare at you, or they would say something dirty, or they will walk by and try to touch you in an uncomfortable way. And I'm 55 years old, but when he does that, I said, don't do that because it triggers me. And he'll go,
Wow.
well, I'm your husband. I should be able to admire my wife. Yeah, you're able to admire me, but it's the way that you do it.
Got you.
People have triggers.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I never knew that. Never knew that.
Yeah, you want to talk about some of the triggers, Barjon? Because people do have triggers, and that's one for me.
Well, triggers are different for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important to know your triggers. Way you can
Mm-hmm.
avoid them or eliminate them. But triggers are different for each individual, and it's it's difficult. But if you have someone in your life, and they are a trigger, it's important to communicate that to them because that's your support. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if they can
Mm-hmm.
help you with avoiding triggers in your life, that can help you on your healing journey. So for me, I always tell, like my husband or my children, I let them know what my triggers are. So that way I'm not lashing out at them for
Got you.
doing something that they didn't
Mm-hmm.
know was a trigger for me.
Got you.
Right. And the key is everyone has triggers. The triggers may
Yes.
be different, but we have them.
Right.
And the part that I think sets a person off when they have their triggers is just like you said, letting them know this is a trigger for me. But when you shove it off to the side and say, "Oh, you're just being silly," or "You're just being this," that doesn't help the person who's dealing with those triggers because it may appear to be minute to you, but it's real to that person.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Definitely. So,
It is really real.
Barjan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Solid Chief Foundation and the things that are the wonderful things that you're doing. I've heard some of the amazing things via through Renee, but I wanted you to share with the good people on Facebook Live some of the important things and steps that you're taking to bring awareness to our community.
Okay. So, as I stated, the first initiative, Cakes and Conversations, which we took some time off, um, process and so I did take some time off, but we are going to start back in July with Minority Mental Health Awareness Month.
Okay.
We'll be having our first conversation 21. I also have a nature I do which nature. I have that coming up on the 22nd of May. And we'll be going to South Mountain State Park to see the waterfalls because I said waterfalls and water is very healing for me. So I think it will be healing for other individuals as well. So I have a group going up there and we're going to have some fun and get out of this isolation.
Wow, awesome. That's awesome. Do you like
Yeah.
to camp, Barjan? You got the outdoorsy
Do I
thing
like,
going.
I've never been camping.
Never been camping? Oh my god. You got to do
I've
it.
never been camping.
You
I
got to
want to
try it.
go.
It's one of the most
Yeah, I want to go.
peaceful and serene things that I enjoy. I do it a lot, quite a bit. Getting ready to do it soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't do it. The tiger is on the loose.
Good. Good.
You know?
No, I'm gonna tell you, Barjan. because my wife, right, she's not an outdoorsy type of person. So we ended up camping in a yurt. The yurt is temperature controlled. If it's hot outside, you have AC
Oh,
inside.
nice.
So they have the beds in there
Nice.
and some tables to eat at, but that's about it. And they have a deck built on, so if you want to be outside. So if you're going to do it, try it like that first, because if you go in a tent,
Okay.
it might not appeal. But a yurt,
Right.
yurts are
Okay.
the
Okay.
they're that's what we do a lot of, the yurts. So, but all this
Okay.
outdoor thing you got going on, I was like, man, she might enjoy camping. Hike through the woods,
Mm-hmm.
Stone Mountain,
Yes.
the different things. But Renee,
Huh?
question for you.
Okay.
Okay, um, I'm not been privy to everything that you've been dealing with. I know, but I wanted to know, uh, like, and going through the things that you've been through, what do you think some of the things that, as your brother, that I can do to be more supportive and do things for you?
Um,
I'm not going to look
in my
at you.
mind, no, just in my mind as a person,
Yeah.
for me, I love the outdoors. I really do. But for me, just sometimes having that, knowing that I could pick up the phone and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling today, or this is what I'm going through, without not just even you as my brother, but just people, period. And I'm gonna answer you, but
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen because I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
Sometimes, you're talking to somebody and you'll be like, well, this is what I'm feeling today. This is what I'm going through. And for that person not to really hear what you're saying, and they go, oh, you're just whining. What do you have to complain about or whatever? And my mind is not complaining, is venting, is really getting it off of my chest at that moment because the weight feels so heavy.
Gotcha.
So just having someone, just knowing that I could pick up and be, hey, I need you to hear this. This is what I'm dealing with. This is how I'm feeling right now. I just need to get this off of my chest. And I feel like a lot of people feel that they don't have that. It's building
Yes.
that, is building that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a circle, but it is more of a support group
Yeah.
than anything else. And a lot of times I've pushed a lot of people away because I felt like, okay, you're on that judgmental side. I don't need that because I don't need that right now. Whenever you was my friend, then you would be sitting here
You
listening. And
wouldn't
that's
do it
why my friend thing is so limit, because if a person never went through what you went through, how do they know how you feel?
to understand it, right? Well, you know I
Hmm.
love you though.
Can I
'Cause-
say something?
Oh
yes,
yeah, but yeah,
please do,
that's why I
Barjan.
wanted you to hear me, because I want you to jump in.
I just wanted to say, Kenneth, I applaud you for asking that question. The question you just asked her is key. And if we had more family members asking that question, there would be less isolation, less suicide. That question is so important as a support person for
You
your loved one.
you giving me chills right now.
And I'm telling you,
Wow.
it's very simple, but it's hard because people are so caught up in their own lives that they
Yeah.
don't take
Hmm.
the time to say, what do you need from me or what can I do differently? And if you
Hmm.
give that person that's suffering an opportunity to say what they need, whew, I got chills.
I'm like, I got little
And
tingles in my face.
that's very true, because like I said, you want to talk to people, but then they feel like they know you.
Yeah.
They feel like they know you. So when you're talking to them, oh, you're whining, you're complaining, you're this, that, or whatever. When they really don't know you, they just need to,
Listen,
you need that person to hear and understand what you're going through at that moment.
Wow.
That's it.
That's well, I'm here for you,
Do
sis.
you think that's about right, B?
Yes, I listen. I got hyped for a minute.
Yes. And I thank you so much for asking me that, Kenny.
Yeah. I love you,
I,
girl.
I approve. No, I know, but what I'm saying is we all have the love,
No, I mean
but
I
but
know, I mean love, love. I ain't just saying speaking words.
yeah, but it's just knowing that you have that person there, and then sometimes we don't want to speak up because we feel like the person that you could reach out to is going through their own situation at that time.
Got
So
you.
you keep it to yourself.
Got you. Well, Barjan, have a
Hmm.
comment for you. See
Okay.
that? They said you're being modest. She's done way more than
You
cupcakes
do
and
more than
convers.
cupcakes to conversation.
She's actually out in the
I
community.
do.
She
I
is.
do. I am, and I'm always way too modest about like what I do. I don't like to blow myself up or big up myself. And people say I should do it more.
Yeah, because
But
it's
I mean, I am out in the community. Like I said, I took a break for a while because sometimes it gets very heavy. And as a person with lived experience, you kind of have to take a step back and take care of yourself and be a doctor
yeah,
to yourself and nurse yourself back to health.
definitely.
But I am out there, speaking and helping individuals even on Facebook. Sometimes I'll get inboxes of people who are thinking about harming themselves. And I talk people down. And, I'm on the phone constantly talking with people about what they're experiencing and sharing my story and just trying to be a light for a lot of people who are suffering in silence.
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
Hmm.
I'm gonna. I go. Let me tell her
And you
this one
said
thing.
that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Barjan. It's never boasting or bragging when you're doing it. Okay.
Gotcha.
It is what it is, and that's awesome that you're an advocate and out there creating awareness for people, because our community definitely is stigmatized by that. Our community as a whole,
Hmm.
our families are is the nucleus of the universe, and if we're operating from that type of energy, we can't even begin to start healing and
Right.
even
Hmm.
healing ourselves when we may personally be going through things and we don't think that it may be attributed to something or like that, and it can be very well. It's just creating that awareness to where it's just like, wow, okay, this is this is heavy, man. This is truly heavy. Sorry, Renee, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
Hmm.
wanted
Oh,
to
you're
piggyback off that.
fine. And I think part of the healing is just like Barjan said, you go out and you give. And then sometimes you got to take that break to re-energize yourself. And I think, and this is just my opinion from many of the people that I know, um, a lot of them are dealing with issues within themselves. But where we get our joy and our healing from is knowing that we're helping others.
Yeah.
I really do believe that's part of, well, for me it is. It's part of it's part of the healing process for me, especially
I think she just dropped. Uh, Go ahead, Renee.
especially when it comes down to, if you notice, my thing is children.
Yeah.
And for me, that's healing, knowing that I'm bringing joy to other children because of so much of the sadness that I've grown through,
Got you.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Perfect sense. Perfect sense. Really does. She's joined us back, Barjan. We lost you for a quick second, but
Yes.
welcome back. Welcome
Yeah.
Thank
back.
you.
You're an
Yeah,
angel. You know
I
that?
would say,
Oh, thank you.
You really are. That's.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Renee.
and be what I was saying, I said, I think sometimes we give so much of ourselves, and it's part of the healing process. I know it
Yes,
is for me.
absolutely.
Wow.
Okay.
We just had a comment, guys. There's a somebody watching this says that their daughter struggles with bipolar and schizo affective, but she doesn't want help from a therapist or family. What do you do with people like with a person like that in that mindset? What can you do? What are some of the remedies to rectify that situation, or how would you go about even would you say that you would go talk to her in a way to see help her to see that this is what is needed in doing this, or how would
So
you start that process?
I would say by introducing her to people who have lived experience, other people who are living through bipolar disorder. Um, like myself, I'm a peer support specialist. There's other peer supports. I'm not sure what area she's in, but there are people who do this um, as a job, but also as their passion. People who have, or who are, I won't say have recovered. I'll say people who are in recovery because it's an everyday process. Um, but there are people who are willing to share their stories and hold your hand and walk you through the process. I think it's important for her to see that you can be successful with a mental illness, with the label. You could be successful. There are other people who are like her who are still out here doing great things, but we just have this little thing that we deal with every day.
Got you. Sorry about that, guys.
But that's okay. But I would definitely say introduce her to people who know what it's like to live every day with bipolar disorder. There's support groups in, I don't know what area she's in, but I'm sure there's support groups. I know in Charlotte we have a lot of support groups. We have peer support groups. We have family to family, NAMI, Mental Health Association, just different organizations where she can be around people who are like her, and she can kind of get a first hand encounter of like how walking helped or how medication has helped or how therapy has helped versus someone who's sitting behind a desk and she may feel like she's being judged.
Got you. Got you. I hope that helps because she's also said that she stopped going to her therapist and stopped taking her meds. So it would be paramount to just get her around people who are facing the same challenges that she is. I know I know I like football and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but this is back in the day. To Terrell Owens, he came out for mental illness. He talked about some of the things that, and it was eye opening for me because I was like, this dude is out there playing his favorite game, doing what he loves to do, and still, it doesn't quantify it in any way. So that
It
kind of
does.
opened my eyes when I saw that too on some things. Go ahead, Renee. Sorry.
It does. I mean, it does not have to stop your life. You learn to function through it. And I feel like it would be a big thing. Like Taraji P. Henson, she started to talk about mental illness. I was watching what's her name? You and Jarabia and Tally call me her all the time. She played the wife
Tyler
and
Perry. She got a
yeah,
twin sister. Yeah,
yeah, and I was watching her unsung one night, and she's actually bipolar. And I feel like if these people that we call stars, who has that huge platform would step forward and start speaking, especially our black people,
yeah,
it would bring more awareness to our community because they're functional.
definitely, definitely. And you and Barjan are amazing. Let me just say that for the record, chalking that up. Okay. And then there it is, right there. To come out
You
here
ready?
and no, just to spearhead it, and just get it, create dialogue and conversation. That's I want one of your cupcakes too. Side note, Barjan.
I got you.
But to create awareness through dialogue and conversation, that is what is needed in our community. and to use these platforms we have now, like Facebook Live and YouTube Live. It's really something to gravitate toward to get the word out in our communities, you know. And the other things that you're doing, Barjan, you're out in the trenches creating things, just like Renee, my sis. She's the things I've witnessed her doing, and some of the joy that I see in her face when she's doing something for somebody else. I'm speaking about you, Renee. The things that you do for the
Mhm.
kids and just the expression on your face. And then when we're talking, how you're just, I'm getting tingles now and just talking about it. There it is. There's a smile. That right there. That look is just like, yeah, she's at that place. And my goal is going to be to keep you there. How about that?
That's cool. And I just want to say to the people out there, you don't have to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And you're not a bad person. It's if you got a heart attack. I mean, you're gonna sit there with a heart attack, but as soon as the doctor take care of it, you're gonna go back to whatever level of whatever it is that you're capable of doing. So don't suffer in silence.
Hmm. But I think what you're doing, creating dialogue and conversation, is that what cupcake and conversations is about, or does it tie into that?
It is.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I would definitely love to
It's
tune
about
in.
and
And
it's about celebrating the small victories because a lot of people don't know what someone who is with mental illness hard it is to just get out of or get to your car or to be a mother to your children. So cupcakes and conversations is about celebrating those small victories when you do those episodes.
got you,
Hmm.
got you. That's awesome.
It
But
is, and there is more people out there with mental illness than there is not. It's just a lot of people are in denial.
you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that every human being has a polarity going on. You know what I mean? It's just
Hmm.
where they are on that spectrum. That people want to define it as this when it
Hmm.
gets to this point, but the whole polarity, that whole spectrum is all of everything, if you will. You know what I mean? It's just different
Hmm.
levels of it, I guess.
Right.
Hmm.
You know, because I know.
It is. It's like I said before. You look at when the COVID, when they shut everything down from COVID. If everyone is honest with themselves, think about the different levels of anxieties that they had.
Oh yeah,
People went out and bought up all the toilet paper. You go to the grocery stores, the shelves are halfway bare, and it put them into that panic attack of, oh, if I don't get this, or I don't do this, or what's going to happen to me? You see people who are hoarders.
yeah,
I mean, there is so many different levels of mental illness. But like we said, because of the stigmatization,
Mhm.
people don't want to talk about it.
yeah.
Am
Well,
I crazy? No.
no,
Do I have a chemical imbalance at times? Yes.
all of us,
You
all of
know,
us.
so I'm saying, but people have to they have to realize that within themselves.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
And the other thing I want, just like social media, think about social media. People put put social media the person they want you to know.
Exactly, exactly.
And you have people sitting down watching this stuff on social media. Oh, I'm overweight. I wish I could look like that. Oh, they got it going on. I want to get to that level. And they're building all this anxiety within themselves because of what they're feeding their brain off of social media.
Yeah, what good looks like, you know. And that's in everything that they do, you know,
Yeah,
and everything that we do. I'm not. It's not they. It's everyone, all of us, all
right.
inclusive. But
Right, you know?
man, I can't believe an hour has gone by already. I'm just
Yes,
like, oh
yes,
my god.
yes.
Barjan, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us and sharing your experiences and your resolutions and what people can do. I definitely want you to come back and
Oh, yeah.
share some more, man.
Thank
You
you.
really gave us some food for thought. I'm like, yes, give me more.
Yes.
Thank you so
you
much.
And
know?
and I was gonna ask, do you want to come back next week? Because see, you have another version also. You were in the military. And speaking of it from that standpoint, because we have so many soldiers who were there who have committed suicide. We have so many of them that's dealing with PTSD.
Yeah.
We have all these things going on. So, I mean, I'm asking you, would you be willing to come back next week so that we can continue this conversation?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Barjan.
Thank you for
I
having me.
purposely,
yes.
I purposely did not book anyone for next week
To leave it open.
Okay.
because because I know there is two parts to it. You know,
yeah.
you have the stuff from childhood, but then you were also in the military.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And that
I would love
actually,
to be back.
the show that I was telling you guys about earlier, the Million Little Things.
Uh-huh.
One of the guys is dating a girl who's having. She wakes up in the middle of the night from her days in the military, and it, how they're going about it. The way that they just support each other in that show is amazing to me. I love it.
Hmm.
You know, but
I'm watching.
we look forward, Barjan, to seeing you next week again with those pretty dreads,
Thank
that pretty
you.
smile.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
definitely,
it.
definitely. But Renee, you have any final thoughts, Barjan, that you'd like to say?
I just want to say to anybody out there who is experiencing some type of mental health trauma issue, episode, that you are not alone. Do not be afraid to speak your truth. Do not be afraid to tell people what you need and what you want in that moment. And it's okay to not be okay. Take the time that you need to recover and you come back stronger.
Mm, nicely put.
Hey, she closed it. Hey, B, you closed it with that one. I just want to thank everybody for joining us. And tell a friend. We're gonna be right back here next Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Tell your friends because this is important in our community, in our
yes,
Black community. We need that awareness.
exactly. I'm just gonna post the talk, the banner for a second. If you guys wanna, just so people can see where they can get help if anybody needs a phone number or something. You know, the
Okay.
suicide hotline and helpline for depression and bipolar support alliance. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-TALK. Talk is everything. So definitely, this is something you can also visit the website at dbsalliance.org to get more information on that. But again, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you, Facebook viewers, for taking time out of your night to join us in this conversation. And thank you, Grandma Polly. I've been calling you Renee the whole show. I'm so sorry.
I know, right?
I know. But any final thoughts, Renee?
You gonna get we gonna get that part down packed before it's all over.
Yeah,
We'll still do this.
right, right. But you got any final
Yeah.
words, sis?
My final word is thank you, Barjan. See you next week. We thank
Thank
everyone
you.
who tuned in tonight. And this is a very important topic to me. So anybody who's out there watching, let your friends know we're going to be back here next week. And I know there are a lot of people out here who are dealing with the same issues that we're dealing with because there are some things, and you know what to be. There are certain things that I'll post online or whatever, and people will inbox me. Oh, I needed to hear that, or they'll come and be like, man, you need to get out of my head. I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there who's dealing with this. So I mean, let's just keep it real and be honest.
Right. Definitely. So we'll see you guys next
Hmm.
week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Grandma Polly, for your words of wisdom, and thank you, Barjan, for your compassion, your love, your peace, your words of wisdom and expertise.
Yes, that's just why she's here for her expertise. And
Exactly.
be next week. I know we're dealing with the military, but we also want to talk about the effects that it has on our family
Okay.
Okay.
because it affects them also.
All right.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Facebook Live, for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday. Same
All right.
Grandma Polly time, same Grandma Polly station.
Here come the big rig kids, roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids, see how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Learn with the big rig kids, and you'll see how it is to have adventure days and hang and play with all your friends. Because the big rig kids know what it is to live a most exciting and inviting life is positive. Sapphire with the voice of wisdom keeps the story rolling, and by golly, Grandma Polly drives them all to where they're going. Hop on in, everybody. Let's go! Caden, he's the leader of the crew. He's smart and brave and true. Sasha, Caden's twin, she cares a lot but can be stubborn too. Caden loves a good book too. And then Sasha, she's a regular computer guru. These are the big rig kids. Roll with the big rig kids. Let's Sapphire the truck, take you to such amazing places with the big rig kids. Those helpful big rig kids. See how they give and grow and get to know amazing things. Now Maria can be rude and bossy, braces on her legs and knees, but it's not fun and hard to run with a disability.